Alright everybody, hello and welcome to round 1 of the 2023.1 simCup season. We are at Silverstone tonight and we are racing the... let me just get the name of this car 100% correct. It is the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, the Type 992. I've raced this one before in an ad hoc race, and I must say it is quite the experience. No traction control, very limited ABS, just pure power underneath you. You have to be really careful with what you're doing. Just to introduce myself, it is going to be me, Mr. Sus van der Westhuizen. Welcome. And I'm going to be joined in the booth by Cohen, or at least he promised that he'll be joining me. It's going to be an interesting one, I believe. He's just running a little bit late, so hopefully he'll be joining soon. Right, to get through some of the formalities quickly, everybody is currently still practicing, I believe. Let me maybe see if I can figure out. Maybe qualifying has started already. I'm not 100% sure, but let me quickly get through everything. Just some info. We are at Silverstone tonight. This is the full layout. I would say I can't remember what the exact term is, but we are using the old National Pit Straight. Well, National Pit Straight and pit boxes. So it's not the pits at the Hamilton Straight. It's the pits before Cops. Between Woodcote and Cops. It changes things up a little bit, especially if you're used to Silverstone with the Grand Prix layout that we normally see. It can be a little disorienting when you get to some of the chicanes first time. Silverstone is quite flat, so it's a little difficult to distinguish some turns here and there, but in my view, still one of the most fun tracks that I know of. Then, in terms of the weather for tonight, it is gonna be a chilly 10 degrees average ambient temperature. We're racing from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. I don't think that's the time that we are qualifying, though. Qualifying is happening on the Saturday of the simulated weekend, from 12 p.m. So, that said, let's get back to the mainstream so that we can start looking at the action. Bring up the boards there. Here's that I needed to quickly restart my broadcast software, and now it's gotten rid of some things. I might have to make small adjustments here and there, but yeah. Okay, so we are still in free practice. It's gonna be, I saw around about 35 people rocking up for the race, for the driver's brief, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do. Let me just do this quickly. Okay, got our sponsors going. Everybody is starting to get ready now for their qualifying runs, so we've bumped to pits. We'll go green in just a moment. And I'm gonna make sure that we are at least looking at someone that is started. Ooh, Anthony has pulled out of the pits but decided against it. Let's see if I can find focus on someone that is outside. Right, so Ryan van Wyk in the Wholesome Foods livery. Did check that everything downloaded, so everything should be fine. Quick welcome to everybody in YouTube chat there. Andrea and Falso, Heinrich Libbe, Mad Dog and Robin van der Merwe. Very good to have you here. We're anxiously waiting to see what the drivers can do. The track is already optimal. It's just a very cold track. We didn't add any rain in here tonight. I still think it's going to be a cracker. This is a very bumpy track for this Porsche. The Grumpy Monkey team that I'm part of, they complained a lot about the the car hopping and skipping and bouncing quite a bit. I'm just keeping an eye out. It's looking like I might be having a small glitch with the screen, but it all seems fine. Okay. So while everybody is on their out laps, I'm happy to report that since we have started this season, we have switched our charity this time to looking at it right now to Starting Chance. They help out. Let me read the nice blurb for you. Starting Chance is a non-profit organization that specializes in early childhood development and the transformation of shack schools in townships. So they're really working with underprivileged little kids there. We have since, we've come out of the full pandemic and gotten going again. We have dropped the mandatory donation requirement, but we are still glad to see that people are donating. Currently standing on 11,056 rands contributed for this season. I'm sure there might still be some donations coming in. I know I've had to get through January and then work kind of got in the way. I just haven't focused on it yet. Right, I think we are starting to see fast laps. So let's see if we can find someone. Byron Thompson is out on his first fast lap. Byron, I think, was one of the faster ones. Unfortunately, I found that the HLQ times were a little unreadable. Otherwise, I would have put up a screenshot. But Sean Strydom being the quickest with a 2 minutes dead 0.3. Charles Wilkin following close by with a 2 minutes dead 2 minutes 0.5, so 2:00.5, and Sean Bingham is about 6/10 off of that in P3 with 2:01.1. Like everybody has been saying, they've been struggling a little bit getting used to the car. You have to really feather that throttle coming out of the exiting the corners, otherwise you really run the risk of spinning. That's the ultimate thing here, is you need to be very careful. I remember the race that we had on Zandvoort. That was quite an interesting experience. The first few laps, just it felt like the car was on ice until you realize, oh wait, this isn't an actual GT3 car. It doesn't have the intense ABS and traction control abilities that the GT3s have, and you have to be careful. Right, so Byron Thompson crosses the line with a 3:03, but he's immediately surpassed by a few drivers there, Sean Bingham and Roxanne Bartle. I'm gonna hop over to Mr. Gregory Hofart in the B team. Lovely livery. I'm really liking this livery, especially on the Porsche. So Gregory seems to be at the end of his lap. He bumps into... Ooh, now I'm not able to see. Let's see if I can quickly get some actual lap times. No, it's all just going to be delta times. Right, so Greg does a 2:04.2. Managed to steal that off of my broadcasting camera controller. He'll be looking at improving that. I'm gonna hop back to... Who else do I remember that was fast? Anthony Wilson, still on his flyer now. He's gonna be finishing his lap just now, then we'll be able to see what he can put together. One of the faster drivers in these Porsche cars, but he only manages a 2:05.3. I'm sure given some more laps, he'll be able to do it. He did mention... Oh no, that was actually Charles Wilkin that I'm thinking of. Apologies. Charles Wilkin, I'll just quickly switch to him. Let's ride a bit on board with him. 9 minutes on the clock left. Charles Wilkin said he's not in his own rig tonight, so I'm curious if he knows that he's got some load shedding, and that might be the reasoning for hopping in someone else's rig, just to make sure that you can get the race over and done with tonight. while we maybe wait, I can quickly say, like, if you're keen on getting in on this action, you can head over to www.simracesa.co.za. Find the Discord link there, can hop on, we'll get you through the verification process, and then you can come sign up and race with us. So if watching is fun, and Charles does a 201.0 drifting it around cops there, so he's clearly flying cars, trying to stay out the way for people on their flying laps. Just switching back to Mr. Nick Hodgson. Our team has been chatting really quite a bit about the strategy options. I'm gonna say stay quiet on this for now. I want to see how things pan out before I spill the beans. I'm not sure yet which way to go. Okay, I'm gonna hop back. I know Mr. Bjorn Buchner in the Team Gunston livery. Actually looking at that and think yes, that's an in-game livery that I made. And the Team Gunston color is always looking superb. Bjorn doing a 206.5 as his best time, so still needs to find a bit of time if he wants to climb up the order, but we have an almost full grid here tonight. I'm seeing 37 cars on track. It's exciting. I think it's going to be great. Alright, I'm gonna let the auto director take over quickly. So, Hervé Mare, I'm hoping that is how I'm reading the name. I'm currently P4. I think this is one of our newcomers. So quite excited to see what they can do. We've had quite. I was actually not expecting this amount of interest. And as I say that. Jumps to Byron Thompson, so I'm just quickly heading back to go find Arvia. Let's get a nice TV camera up and running. So Arvia is going to be crossing the line. His best jumps ahead to a 201.5, but that is still not enough. 6 minutes left on the clock, so still some time for people to quickly hop back into the pits. Now going to P11, Sean Loureiro. He's looking to try and close that gap. That is what, 0.02 of a second separating Sean and Chris Heineke. I'm quite keen to see what's going to happen here. Chris Heineke, of course, being one of our resident aliens, it's interesting to see him P10 at the moment. I'm sure that his focus is most likely on the GT3 championship. And he's doing simCup more for the fun of it, so he's probably not too worried about it. And even that said, I think this car is we're gonna see drivers develop and adopt driving styles that suit this car better. I'm looking at this. I'm wondering if this is an in-game livery. LT Racing. Yeah, no, this is LT Racing Chic SA. Oh, that I must say, that looks very, very slick, if I may say so myself. Right, so Sean gets bumped down to P10. I think that might have been Ryan Barrington Smith jump. Oh, someone pushed into the top 10, so they've been pushed down a bit. Let's go see where Chris Heineke is at. He is currently coming out of left field. 202.08, so there should be more time in it, and Chris does not. Oh, that was an outlap. So let's stick with him. I might be able to catch some of the last stragglers there. Traffic coming out of the pits. Hopefully everybody can. Oh, I think that's gonna. That must have. That's unfortunate. Okay, I think Chris might have to head back to pits, see if he can quickly go out and come back in. Right. Let's drop down to P21. Martin Groenewald, currently on what I hope to be. I think it's a hot lap. So onto the Hamilton straight. He is currently P21. I'm looking at him because I want to see, can he break it into the top 20? One of the Grumpy Monkey Academy drivers here tonight. He's been really interested in getting to grips with everything, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Just saying hello there in YouTube chat again. I see some new names. Conrad Potgieter. There was Debbie Bartle and Paul Fenter. Welcome everybody. Really looking forward to this race tonight. I'm actually a little bit sad because I was really interested in racing this series, but I've realized I just don't have the time this season to take on 2 series. It's going to be easier for me to arrive and commentate instead of arriving and driving. And that way we could give some entertainment back to everybody else. Right, so Martin Groenewald crossing the line. He does improve, but not enough to get himself up into the top 20. I'm going to head back to Chris Heineke quickly. He seems to still, yeah, he's probably still on his outlap, but he's going to be starting his new hot lap soon. So that's the Hamilton straight. Still a bit of time to go. Ruan Heineke and Peter Geldenhuis also in YouTube chat there. Hello, gentlemen. Great to have you here. While I'm hunting, trying to see someone. Hardus Boyce is looking like he's 6/10 up on his delta. That's going to be quite the leap, judging by the times ahead of him. Well, quite the leap. Actually, that's going to be 3 positions, so he might be able to go and clinch P13 if he can improve now. This is exiting Luffield. Let's see how he does crossing the finish line. That bumps Hardus. Ooh, well done to Hardus. He jumps up into 11th, so improves by basically a second. Jumping back to P25, Mr. Gregory Hofart currently 1.3 seconds up on his delta. Also exiting Luffield, so excited to see what he can do. Also a lot of positions in hand there if he can keep it clean. Jumps up into P17. That's a top 20 start if he can hold on to it. Then Donovan De Nuyen. Oh, I'm catching everybody right as they're exiting Luffield tonight. Oh, Donovan has a big moment, and that's going to cost him all the the entire second that he had. Up and down the field, Mr. Nick Hodgson is halfway through his flying lap. Currently 2/10 up. This is the sharper end of the field, so loads of time in hand. Well, not loads of time. Like the time in hand gets a little bit less and less as we get to the sharper end. The drivers seem to be a little more consistent, and they're not leaving as much time on the table. But I do know that with this car, there's like waves and ebbs and flows. From what I remember, the second lap is a really good flying lap if the tires are warm enough, but given the very, very cold track state, it might not be the case. There was a bit of complaining in the Grumpy Monkey space that the tires weren't enjoying the colder temperatures. Right, so next still 1/10 up. And as I say that, I'm quickly glancing to Sean Strydom on my timing data. So Nick does improve, but it's not enough to get him ahead. Ooh, he's exactly the same time as Ryan Barrington Smith. Right, so just jumping to Sean Strydom. Ooh, he's managed to find a little bit of traffic here. I'm wondering 404. Let's see, 404. Leon van Vieren ahead. Leon backs off. And that probably ruined... Well, Leon probably said, cool, I'm not going to gain anything. Hopefully just didn't get too much in the way. Seeing some last stragglers as we're waiting for the time to run out. So Sean dives into the pits, says, nah, I've done enough, I can take P1. Hopping back to Roxanne Bartle, also part of the Grumpy Monkey crew. She's currently 5/10 up on her delta. Arvia slightly ahead of her. Was right on the bubble, it seemed, but not quite there. So Roxanne was finishes, well, claims P14 for the race start. So top 5 there: Sean Stradom in P1, Charles Wilkin in P2, Ryan Barrington-Smith in P3, Nick Hodgson in P4, and Endrin Govender rounding out the top 5. I'm really excited to get this going. I'm gonna go for a very quick ad break. I'll see everybody in just a bit. Alrighty, we're back. Just as they start pulling away, so this is going to be a full formation lap for the crew. I am joined now in the booth by Mr. Gascon. Mr. Gas, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. I'm doing well and looking forward to the action. Seems like I made it just in time to see all of the fun start.
Right, I'm gonna just hop into our helicam. Let's focus there on Mr. Ryan Barrington-Smith, part of the Alan R. Berry Blixens. I wonder if that's a typo, but I think it is not. It's purposefully Berry. Gas, have you taken this car for a spin yet? Any thoughts?
Haven't been afforded the luxury. I'm not, let's say, the most traditional GT man. Favor the wing cars myself. But understanding these, especially the Porsches themselves, from what I've heard from GT3 teammates before, and GT races in general, it takes quite a man to extract the best out of this car, let's say.
Ooh. I only did we had a little ad hoc race one day, and it was on Zandvoort. But what was interesting to me was how there was this like ebb and flow of like from a grip point of view. It was almost like the tires would heat up a little too much, and then you lose grip, and then once you reel your driving back in and you get comfortable again, the tires would come alive again. So you do quick lap, slow lap, quick lap, slow lap, quick lap, slow lap the whole time. And then you have to, because this is happening all throughout, you have to be adjusting your driving style, because once you lose grip, it's so much easier to go and spin out when you stomp on the throttle. The ultimate thing for me that it taught me was just throttle control, being a lot more patient with when I get on throttle, and not just hammering it down and hoping for the best.
Absolutely. I think that's not just the nature of these cars, or the nature of ACC in general. You want to keep those tires brakes in the optimum window.
Yes.
You've really got to be disciplined with managing that well, especially in these cars, I think, and the sim. Train's a good driver to get the best, of course. So yeah, it's how it should be, we think.
I'm excited to see such a full grid. I think it's going to do a lot of drivers a lot of good, getting to grips with the car, and then just learning to be patient. Because even though you have traction control and ABS to lean on in GT3 cars, you can go faster by not relying on it as much.
Indeed, it's about, I think, getting that balance of weight transition in these cars, which has always been my challenge personally. But but yes, it's not so much, you know, giving it horns into the corner, throwing it in as fast as you can. It's really finding that delicate edge to play with, that
definitely.
You can still carry your complete corner speed, both entry, apex, and exit.
Okay, we're in the double file section. All the cars are lining up. We're gonna be going green very, very soon. I'm a little bit disappointed there's no dropping of the clutch now. They're just idling. Usually that's my go-to thing to say when you guys are racing in F1. We can go drop the clutch and away we go. Right, double file. Gonna just shift the camera back to P3 a little bit. Ooh, this light is coming late. Green, green, green. So Sean taking that inside line. Charles Wilkin being very, very aggressive on the outside. Looked like he might be able to stick it, but that's not quite going to happen. Going to quickly hop further back. I don't see too much calamity. Actually quite surprised given how easy it is to spin out in these cars. Everybody making their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Some cars side by side there in the back, but for the most part, everybody just trying to stay alive. And as we get to this is Stowe, just starting to see the overall board update. So anybody that gained a few positions would have updated now. So we're running an interesting, well, the same race format as the M2, where we've got a 40-minute pit window whereby the drivers must go and take at least 1 liter of fuel.
Okay, so an open strategy, wide open pretty much.
Yes.
They can pick what they want to do, how they want to do it, almost when they want to do it, with quite a wide window.
And to be honest, I am watching like this like a hawk tonight, because I felt that with the M2 series, the advantage for not taking tires was much too great. And ACC does support the option to select, to go and say refueling takes a minimum of 25 seconds instead of using a scaled time for how much fuel you're taking. You know that if you're taking 1 liter of fuel or if you're taking a full tank, it's going to take 25 seconds. And I think that then means if you're taking tires, you do a 30-second stop. So that 5-second advantage might be worth playing then, like to see some different strategies. I'm not sure what to expect tonight. The Porsches sound like they're chowing tires, so everybody will be taking tires regardless. Sean, like, comfortably in the lead there. He's not too worried by Charles Wilkin in his rearview mirror. They're both taking some interesting lines through Maggots and Beckett's, though, trying to just eke out a slight advantage. And I suspect Charles is also dealing with a little bit of the aero rush there.
Yes, such a long track with quite a few decent full throttle zones. So I'd say slipstream matters, but it's that much harder as well to follow through some of the faster corners there.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna switch back to my broadcast camera, and I'm hopping back to P29, Chris Bernardi and Bjorn Buchner. Chris just showing his nose on the... Oh, I'm not so down on my corner names. This is coming into Stowe, and you're not quite able to capitalize on it quite. Look like you might be able to.
I've seemed to make, I think in these cars, that inside line is always going to be the let's say, the sure thing going into Stowe. It's not quite the same to try and hang it around the outside when the weight's against you, especially mentioning those tires would be a bit of a fight. It's probably something you would rather avoid because it'll come back to haunt you towards the end of the stint.
Wait, so was that Donovan De Nuin? Yes, sorry, that's Donovan De Nuin managing to get the overtake done on Chris Bernardi up ahead. Donovan's car looking a little bit banged up. I'm not sure if he got into a bit of a scrap. Maybe there was a little bit of contact that sent him spinning. I suspect this might be... let me actually consult my HLQ times. Donovan De Nuin... Yeah, he was around about P27, so if he qualified at this position, like, he just looked so much faster than Chris there through Village.
Well, Village going into Woodcotes as well is a bit of a variable line corner. I mean, it does have one optimal line, but there's a few things you can do with that corner, especially when you're fighting with a car. Also forcing them into a different line can make the world of difference if you choose to switch it up a bit.
So I'm on board with Chris Heineken now in P18. He is sandwiched there between Anthony Wilson and Christy Simon. I suspect Charles is also on a little bit of a recovery drive. There's actually, yes, there was an accident between two cars a little earlier in my log. But Chris is showing that he's clearly faster than Anthony Wilson at the moment. He's just not quite able to get there because there's quite a lot of traffic up ahead for him. He's going to have to slowly pick his way through. Shows the nose, almost gets it gets it cut off. Up ahead, Anthony Wilson trying to make a move on Christy Simon. Roxanne Bartle. Roxanne very defensive there, knows that if she's got the inside line at Luffield, he'll be fine. Chris also taking that advantage and grabbing a spot from Ashley Wilson.
Well, fighting through the exit a bit, so that was a long but good move. Made it stick. But it seems to be like there's a little bit of separation between some of the bunches, but we'll see if they can keep up, because at the moment, 4 in that pack, that could be anyone's game. But look,
especially with the driver discipline required, you have to really be careful not to over push, because it bites hard. A Porsche bites hard if you over push.
100%. I think Silverstone does too. Loves to put in some teeth if you get it wrong. A very fast circuit in general, so you most of the time are carrying as much as you can into the corner anyway. Get it slightly wrong, and that's a lot of speed that's hitting a curb or a sausage wrong.
Yeah, I'm still hunting. Ashley Wilson, P19. Oh, I'm looking at the exact same thing. I scrolled up and down. Flip van Zyl, P13. Flip in the LT Racing Chic SA car. Oh, that is an absolute beaut. I don't know if you've loaded up the liveries, gas, but oh no, I'm really liking that.
Oh, there's some interesting works here tonight. I like the, let's say, the originality to almost take, well, the deliveries I've seen so far, I've taken it away from the Porsche tradition, which to me is a good thing in a way, because this car specifically is like a bit of a canvas. Doesn't really have any aggressive designs that are going to make you conform to what you've seen before.
Yeah.
But gives you a bit of a chance to, I think, paint it as you want it. So we'll see some driving expression, I think, both in the paint schemes and on track.
Right, I'm jumping up ahead to P5. Jaco Albert on the back. I suspect this move might have already been made. No, Jaco Alberts and Sean Loureiro. Sorry. Jaco Alberts and Sean battling it out for P5. Sean is right on the tail of Jaco Alberts at the moment, heading into Stowe now. Ooh, and Jaco runs slightly wide. That exit of Stowe is one of the track cut positions you have to be really, really careful for. ACC can be very harsh with its track limit penalty sometimes. So 3 warnings, then you know you have to really, really back off and be careful, because on your 4th warning, you're going to be served with a drive-through penalty.
Slipstream doesn't look like it makes the world of difference. Otherwise, there were maybe just some better exits from Jaco than we realized. But tell me a bit about so throttle management in this car. Is it still adjustable on the fly? Is there something you can use a bit to defend still if you are getting followed?
As far as I know, there aren't any throttle maps. You only have some limited ABS options. So it's not the ABS options available in the full GT3 car. And Jaco Alberts makes a mess of left field there. Let me head back. How much time did he lose? He slotted in right behind Sean now, but he just stepped out, and that's what I was alluding to. You have to kind of feel for the limit. You're gonna be slowly adding more and more throttle, and like as soon as you feel that twitch, just lift off ever so slightly so that the car doesn't completely spin out. That's what I found was fastest for me, just trying to get that consistency, because if you can get the rear to step out ever so slightly, you're going to generate that little bit of amount of slip to help you rotate the car through some of the corners. But it's a knife's edge. You have to be really, really careful. I really struggle to do that consistently. I find myself often well below the limit instead of like really riding on the limit to be fast.
100%. I was surprised to see, I mean, in some cars you'd call that the slip angle. He really didn't get too squirrely, but lost so much time and grip obviously doing that. So this car really has a bit of a heavy punishment on the drivers when they do get it wrong.
It's that heavy rear. Like once you get the tires sliding, you have to get them to grip up before you can expect to go again. I'm just dropping, and as I drop down I see the gap expanding a bit. Oh, that's René Leach and Gregory Hofart. Gregory managing the overtake. I can actually hop back by about 30 seconds to go and view that. So Greg in the tow on the what's the straight before Stowe?
That would be Wellington.
No, that's the Wellington.
Sorry. It's the airstrip straight there.
Okay. So, interestingly enough, Gregory managing to get the overtake done because on exit, who was that now? On exit, Anthony. Oh, I've completely forgotten who that was. But on the exit, no, it's René Leach. On the exit, on the exit of Stowe, René just lost a tiny bit of grip there. And Gregory managing to maintain some speed out of the corner, managed to get pull ahead before they got to the Vale chicane.
So to correct both of us, that is the Hanger Straight,
but
also not referred to as the Hamilton Straight, of course.
No, but the Hamilton Straight is at the main pit, the international pit lane.
Is that?
Yes.
I confused.
I am.
It's explained as the Hamilton Straight then, but then we'll have to just call it by its old correct name, the Hanger Straight, I guess.
You know what? I have a map that I can quickly look at and show everybody so that we can settle this dispute.
Well, I can't officially say where the Hamilton Straight is now, but I know that's the Hanger Straight.
Okay, no, so the Hamilton Straight is at the main pit, the pit line that's used for F1. The Hanger Straight is before Stowe, and the Wellington Straight is before Brooklands and Luffield.
There we are.
Okay. Now I've got my lingo down. I can much better figure out where the battles are happening. We're going back to P5 now. Sean Loureiro has Arvia Mare all over the back of him. They're coming into Village Chicane now. Sean managing to just park it on the apex, but that's going to lose him time to Nick in the up ahead. Ooh, Sean just stepping it out, but still managing to get the better exit compared to Arvia. So I'm looking at the wing now. This is a little bit of a train. Ooh, Sean goes deep. Sean goes deep and loses the position to Arvia. And that's now brought Jaco Alberts into contention, and right behind Jaco, Endron Governor is also licking his lips thinking, ooh, I want to get in on this action now. Followed by, is it Marcus? Yes, Marcus Stein.
Both Sean and Jaco initially, while fighting each other, seemed to be pushing each other on until Jaco made the error. And since then, it's been a bit of dominoes. Sean's followed him and he's brought those two back in. So, what being 10 minutes ago maximum now, when we spoke about there being a bunch of four, they started separating, they've come back together again. So this is almost anybody's game.
They're now a bunch of five, and if they're not careful, look far behind. There are three more cars. I'm just itching to get in on this fight. Arvia getting it quite sideways around Stowe there, but that looked pretty fast from what I could see. So I'm in the helicopter so that I can see all that is happening in this group. Otherwise, maybe we end up missing an overtake. I am keeping a close eye to see if there are other battles happening somewhere. I do see P14, Flip van Sail. He's being hounded by Wilfred Robson. I'll keep a close eye there. If I see the names flip around, I can quickly go and catch a replay for that. Ooh, and this concertina out of the Vale chicane, the Village chicane. It's really bringing those three cars in the background into contention. If Arvia can't get a move on, he's gonna have to be very careful. Otherwise, this battle is gonna unfold with a bunch of cars trying to contain.
Oh, like you say, they're bunched up to 5. Seems to be a little bit of separation going again, but they almost need to push each other on, avoid the errors. Again, they keep gapping and then coming back together in a few corners. So you can see some of each driver's strength and weakness playing out in the different corners. But you'd almost think now, having been gifted something a little bit there, that Arvia really needs to try and put it down to get away from them, which it seems he is trying.
Yeah.
But whether he can or can't is going to be the deciding factor on how much these next 4 battle.
Jaco going very wide out of Beckett's there. I am astonished at how sideways they can get these cars. Right, I'm quickly hopping back to Flip van Sail in P14. He's about half a second ahead of Wilfred Robson, who's about half a second ahead of Roxanne Bartle. I suspect Byron Thompson is pulling a bit of a gap, so Byron has managed to work his way through everybody there. Mr. Bullion in chat there saying Brandon Holzhausen makes the LTR liveries and he's insanely good at it. I must say I quite like the LTR liveries that I've seen. Flip managing a really good exit there. That won't allow Wilfred to capitalize. Falling back, Roxanne is starting to kind of lose the rear. But it's also, as you said, there's an ebb and flow as we see each driver's strengths and weaknesses. And I suspect this might also be setup. There might be strengths and weaknesses in different types of setups. Because from what I've heard, the options are a little more limited compared to the GT3 car. So you can gain or lose a lot of time depending on the compromises you're willing to make.
You plucked the thought right out of my mind there. My mind was just going off to how different the setups might be, seeing that some of them are, well, it seems to be the opposites for those that are catching in the slower corners and losing a bit of time in the faster stuff once they get there. But I think as much is going to decide how much those looser setups land up wearing those tires down. Can they manage that? Looser car is the faster car traditionally, but with this car being a bit of a handful, that might become an enemy later on.
And we are 20 minutes into this race, so pit window, if I'm expecting for the most part this to be a bit of a 50-50 race strategy, purely because tires. I'm not convinced that people are gonna pit for tires just yet. And then that means if you're taking tires, you might as well run light on fuel, so no sense trying to put too much weight on the car and in effect through your tires.
Absolutely. Well, I suppose we'll see as soon as we get past the halfway mark. If everyone has pitted, anybody staying out might just have something up their sleeve. But yeah. Does it, so it's 25 seconds regardless for fuel?
No. So we haven't flipped on that config. I think we are on like the scaled fuel refueling. So if you can, I'm not sure if you can do a splash and dash. I actually have no idea how much fuel you can run and if you can run an entire hour on a tank. I suspect you might be able to. So then that means splash and dash would leave you with a 3-second stationary pit stop. Compared to a 30-second pit stop, that'll give you a 27-second advantage. You'll also be looking, from what I remember, at around about a 2-second pace difference. So it might come down to the wire. I'm holding my breath to wait and see what exactly is going to be happening.
Indeed, I think getting into battles is going to be as important, but also eking out your tires. I think the driver who lands up using his intelligence about his tires well, defend where he can rather than battle, and eke those tires out as long as possible. We're already seeing quite a bit of sideways action though, yeah. So I think what you're saying is spot on. They probably are going to change halfway on those tires if they can make that optimal.
I'm hopping forward to Hardus Buesa in P11. He's being hounded by Jeremy de Villiers. Interestingly enough, I vaguely remember Mr. de Villiers saying that the two sons might be very interested in the car, although I'm not seeing them online tonight, so I'm not sure if they've decided against it. I actually can't remember what the sign-ups looked like. It's been a little bit hectic to keep track of all of the movement in this season. But I'm thinking Hardus is under a lot of pressure here. Jeremy has shown that he is a quick driver in the F1 cars. It's interesting to see him adjust to these lower downforce cars, and especially the Porsche. He's from what I've seen a very smooth and methodical driver. So seeing the rear step out and being that little bit like more slidey compared to the F1 car is quite the view for me to see for Mr. Jeremy de Villiers. Interestingly, Sean Stradom and Charles Wilkin Let me maybe just hop to them both. Yeah. Sean Strydom, best lap 201.555, and Charles Wilkin, a best lap of a 201.555.
I was waiting for you to mention it, thinking it might be a bit of a bug on my screen. They surely can't both have the purple laps, but there you have it. That's how equal it could be at the top. That gap of just above 2.5 seconds seems to have stayed that way for quite a while. So clearly one not getting away, one not catching.
I suspect Charles is just... well, actually, Sean was the faster driver in HLQ by a few tenths. But I wouldn't put it beyond Charles to be thinking, let me just stay out of his toe. Stay out of his dirty air. Look after my tires. Maybe I can pull the gap. Ooh, there was someone that went off now. That looks like one of the B cars. The B team cars. No. No, I'm not sure.
Just touching on that point for Mr. Charles Wilkin, he's definitely a seasoned man on the racetrack, or in the dirt, as it were, as well. But I think that's where you could say he has perhaps got an edge over some of his competitors, is he's got the race in mind. He's not thinking about the lap or two ahead, he's thinking about the checkered flag at the end. And he really plays out, from what I've experienced of him previously, just in ACC as well. He really does play that full strategy from lap 1 right to the end. So constantly trying to eke it out. He's taken a 1/10.5 off, but I wouldn't expect to see him push for that yet. Like you say, he just sort of lets it come to him, plays it out slowly, doesn't want to do anything that's going to hurt him later. But looking for that checkered flag to finish first, of course.
Something to note though, I'm not sure if you are aware, but Mr. Charles Wilkin has a history in rally.
Absolutely, yeah. The name's been mentioned around my family a few times. I don't think with any connection other than knowledge of the man. So I ended up learning about him from my uncle, and then seeing his name, thinking it can't be the same guy, right?
No, it's the same.
It was.
It's very much the same guy. I'm quickly scrolling through his history on our admin sheet. He actually won 10 national championships. Ooh, Jeremy de Villiers is showing his okay, I thought he was going to try and go for a move there through I almost thought they were on the main straight there, and there my entire thought just went. Right, so Hardus and Jeremy de Villiers have actually inherited a position there. I suspect the person the driver that spun was Mr. Endron Govender. He spun out of the Vale chicane. Just hopping back to P28, Mr. James Leach Sr. is trying to keep Wilfred Robson off his rear. Wilfred has popped up quite a few times now for tonight. It looks like either he's maybe losing some position. Oh no, he's actually already overtaken James Leach Sr. And my timing screen just took a moment to update, but Leon van Vieren in P28 is also starting to have a bit of a licking his lips moment. Wilfred, one of the drivers that has already pitted, and as I say that, he has a moment coming out of the Vale chicane, and he has to back off and get it back on track. Oh, sorry, that was James Leach Sr. that had the moment. Chris
There's only
Heineke.
an inside wall out there, so had to put a bit.
Chris Heineke, also one of the drivers that pitted. I wonder if he maybe thought he was stuck in a bit of a train, and ended up losing quite a bit of time, so trying to pit, but not quite working out for him. I am noticing though that He is a few seconds ahead of our race leader. That means that Chris Heineke decided tires is going to be worth the pit stop instead of trying to just run fuel.
Or putting that early, I think it's a complete unknown on what tires would be having to run heavy fuel twice, if that is the case. So yeah, safest bet is to rather just trade up the rubber if you are going in early.
So Sean's still trying to hold on to the back of Arve for P5. Jaco Albert's also still there in contention there, but then there's a 5-second gap to Sean Bingham. So the drivers up ahead there, I suspect, have pitted to try and eke out an advantage. Dropping down to P... Now there's no very close gaps anymore. Well, P12... Byron Thompson is pitting now, and that's going to have Flip Van Zyl get promoted into P12. Flip looking like he's stretching the legs a bit and finding some pace.
Well, he had his mirrors filled for quite a while. It can be distracting. They always tell you don't worry about what's behind you.
Yes.
Look in front of you. But of course it's an extra factor to be playing into your mind while you're going through the apexes. So now you can maybe get a bit of free spirit, ignore that, and just focus on the times. Apexes and exits, as Jim likes to say.
I'm hopping ahead to Sean Strydom. That gap is just staying static between Sean and Charles.
Now that 1.5 tenth he took off has just built itself back up. So
yep. We are perfectly at the halfway mark. I am keen to see if Sean decides to come and take his pit stop now. And I actually wouldn't be too surprised if Charles decides to run that pit stop. Well, no, actually, Charles might be considering to go a little bit longer. Sean stays out, and Charles also stays out. So they're feeling comfortable. They can keep it going. I'm wondering if they're trying to run the the no stop advantage. Well, the light fuel advantage.
Well, looking where a few of the pitters have already now come out, the other risk to consider about pitting, let's say on time or early, would be the traffic. I mean, regardless of whether the car's in front of you or not, you're still battling on track if it's for direct position. So nobody's going to give it to you easy. You have to kind of earn it. That's also going to burn up some rubber pretty early on. So it's something to consider. Extending the first stint is not the worst idea, just taking into account the traffic that you might still get into.
But everybody in the top 18 still to pit. And I suspect that's purely because most of the cars have decided to run a little deeper into the stint. As you said, like thinking about traffic management, Arve Mare was in P5, exits the pit in P13. I actually didn't pay too much attention to how long his pit stop was. Maybe I'm gonna do the boring thing and okay, jumping back 10 seconds was not enough.
Well, we can judge it on his next lap time. That previous lap time on his in lap was 10 seconds more.
Yeah, but then you have to know how much time you actually do lose.
Or just basing it on his best lap, of course, which he won't be doing every lap.
I'm not sure what the drive-through time is, so that I can then go and calculate what the delta is between the drive-through time and the amount of time that's extra in what he lost. Right. Sean Stradom in the pits. He is stationary now. Ah, that was a splash and dash. That was a splash and dash for Sean. It is going to be interesting.
Very interesting.
He exits right behind Ryan Barrington-Smith. So if he's not careful, Shaw might be able to pull a bit of an advantage here. I do
taking into account his he started on the heaviest fuel though, so his car should just get faster and faster, but he's also chosen not to take tires.
But that's my thinking here. Okay, sorry, now I see the timing tower updating. Sean actually exiting the pits behind Hardis Boyce. But what I'm thinking here is that was not just 3 seconds. I think I counted closer to 5 or 6 seconds stationary. But Sean is just so quick. Even after the pits, he managed to exit. Actually, sorry, I'm just thinking of something. There are no tire blankets in this class, so taking tires can lose you even more time because your tires aren't up to temperature. But here's where the big question lies. How do you manage, from a setup point of view, to prevent stuff like blistering and graining? Because that's the big problem that I found with races is just dealing with the blistering and graining. If it's too hot, your tires tend to blister. If it's too cold, your tires tend to grain, and that like really sucks away performance if you're not careful with it.
I think at Silverstone, well, first of all, that's a big factor with colder tires at a higher speed track like this, where so many corners you're leaning to the maximum on the car. But also, you would say at the faster circuits like this, where one small error can take a lot out of your tires, that it's, while setup will play a factor, it's definitely down to how smooth you're driving, especially on those in and out laps, I think.
Okay, I'm just dropping back to P18 Roxanne Bartle. Has Byron Thompson all over the back. Just to be careful now. I'm also keeping an eye on when Charles Wilkin decides to pit. But again, this is why I feel we should have probably considered changing the rules so that a no fuel pit stop is a little bit slower. Because a 20-second advantage is massive. At 2 minutes a lap, if you gain 2 seconds a lap at 2 minutes a lap, with 20 minutes to go, that's only what you need to be 2 seconds faster, like 2+ seconds faster at this point in time, and that's not just to say that people are pitting with 20 minutes to go. You might be able to push it until the very last moment with the pit window. I do see down in P27 Gideon Bernardi. Let me just confirm. Gideon Bernardi with the drive-through penalty, so clearly taking some liberties with track limits. I wouldn't necessarily say liberties. It might just be struggling to keep control over the car there. Jumping forwards a bit, Gregory Hofart on the back of Ashley Wilson. Is that Renier Leach? Yes, Renier Leach on the back of Gregory Hofart. No. There's a bunch of chopping and changing here. Ah, that's a back marker. Okay, so my timing tower is looking at back markers for gaps between. John Lorero in the pits. Him having a battle with Hervé Marais So I am fully expecting him to be exiting the pits close to Arvia. Sean is stationary for quite some time, so I suspect he is... Yes, I think he might have been taking tires now. We'll have to wait and see just how close to Arvia he does exit. Just jumping to Arvia quickly. Arvia crossing the finish line now. So Sean is actually ahead by quite a bit. And okay, this is then where we see the difference in strategy. Sean taking only fuel and Arvia then taking tires.
And just based on the fact that we've almost gone 40 minutes into this race already, seeing how 9 out of the current top 10 runners have not yet pitted, I'd say that must be the favored strategy. Avoid as much time as in the pits as possible, leave it on track, stay ahead of back traffic.
But it's a balance. I think with running a strategy like this where you don't take tires, you have to really find the balance. How heavy can you go in the first stint with fuel to still gain enough time in the second stint? Because just filling up and taking a single 1 liter is also not ideal in some cases. That extra weight can cost you quite a bit of time. Right,
absolutely.
Joel Wilkins still out. I'm trying to be a chameleon and keep an eye on his laps there. I see Nick Hodgson has also gone to pit, so he was running P4. So we still have to, and I suspect he might still be comfortable in P4 when the others have pitted, unless of course he took tires. Back to Roxanne Bartle in P17, still Byron Thompson hounding the back of that Porsche. Into Luffield they go. Byron looking like he wants to go for it, but it's difficult to make an overtake stick through Maggots and Beckett's if you're gonna go side by side. You need to be fully alongside to make a move like that stick.
100%. That's there's no move to be made there. What you're doing is just telling that driver to get a move on, or you're coming for them, especially once you get to hang straight.
So Renier Leach, the last driver in the top 10 that is yet to pit. His last lap time at 2:05.6, and Nick, who is 1.5 seconds behind him at 2:02.1. So big pace difference there. And it just indicates to me that Mr. Leach hasn't gone to pit yet. I do hope Charles Wilkin keeps an eye on this pit window. We've got about just over 8 minutes to go. And keep in mind, I think you need to be stationary by the time the pit window closes. I have not been able to fully test this theory just yet. Like it's not, I don't think it's enough to be in the pits when the pit window closes. You have to be stationary. I might be wrong, but it's always been very risky in my view to enter the pits with only a few seconds to go.
Yes, so well, at least from the general rules of most of the series, your pit mechanics may not touch the car once the pit window closes. So they would need to, I guess, have a little bit of flexibility in ACC perhaps. But yeah, provided they start work on the car before that clock is up, they should be safe. But that would be leaving it very late, especially at a 2-minute plus lap.
I just switched to the Bartle-Thompson battle. I had to hold my breath. They were overtaking back markers right before Maggots and Beckett's. It was a really, really scary moment. I was wondering if they were going to be forced to go side by side. Interesting seeing Sean Bingham looking... Oh, Sean Stratham probably just overtook him. So Sean's still showing that he is pretty confident in the car and the tires that he has on there. Mr. Charles Wilkin is entering the village chicane. Is it village chicane or is it farm chicane? It's village chicane. Oh, okay. Five minutes left on the clock. Charles' last lap time at 202.4 compared to Sean's last lap time of 202.9, and Charles enters the pits. So now is the moment of truth, and I'm curious to see how long he's going to be stationary.
And I think also without a gauge of Sean out close to him on the time charts, it's been hard to decide how fast he was going in those closing laps of his stint, but we'll find out soon enough.
Sean Stratham is exiting Luffield now. Charles Wilkin has pulled away, so Charles also going for the splash and dash strategy there. Followed by Ryan Barrington-Smith, who's also looking like he took a quick splash and dash. Charles exits the pits with Sean right ahead, well, a few seconds ahead of him. I'm sure the timing tower will update in just a moment. Yeah, Charles is exiting Beckett's now. Just about see him in the background there. Sean looking like he managed to pull a bit of an advantage there by pitting earlier. Even though he was faced with traffic, he still managed to eke out faster laps. Unless their pit stops differed ever so slightly.
Perhaps they look like they've both gone for the minimum amount of time in the pits, but of course difference could also be made on that entry line, braking as late as possible. You don't want to be getting another drive through at that point. Once you're coming in for your pit stop as well, you'd have to come back in and take it, so everyone's always a little bit tentative, I think. But to still try and maximize, you can easily find another second or two just on that entry line.
Right, for now, hopping back to Flip van Zyl with Marcus Steyn all over the back of him. Hopping on board. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with the sound of the Porsche, I must admit. Oh, and Flip loses it ever so slightly. Ooh, almost almost rolls the car going over the sausage curb there. so unfortunate. Alright, Sean Bingham in the pits. Jaco Albert's in the pits. Jaco stationary right now. Sean Bingham has already managed to go stationary. Jaco's dropped down and he is continuing on. Sean is dropping down, but he doesn't get it going fast enough. Jaco jumping Sean in the pits. It's going to be very frustrating. And this is where we said the frustrating thing is going to be around pit stops. Nick Hodgson, who was in 4th, pitted 4 tires. So I will spoil the beans now. I know that the Grumpy Monkey crew was very tentative on how much time they were losing. They felt it might be worth pitting 4 tires. I think the thing that we didn't think of was the fact that they're on tire blankets. So you're losing even more time exiting the pits and getting your tires up to temperature.
And of course, the faster the track, the more that makes a difference.
Yes.
So Silverstone, that is going to be more seconds lost on the outlaps than at your standard slower circuit. We've also had Greg Hofart as the last pitter, and that is the full field now, all greenlit.
Okay, so no disqualifications because of not taking your pit stop tonight. I'm heading back to these two time after time because they have been within a second of each other this entire race. Byron Thompson is still trying to find his way past Roxanne Bartle in the 519 Porsche there. And I'm sure by this time he is starting to get really frustrated as he runs very wide onto the Hamilton straight. Down in P25, I think Bjorn Buchner is letting some cars lap him. Yeah, that's why it's showing a bit of a gap. So his closest contender, Donovan De Nuyen, in P26. Donovan currently 3 seconds quicker than Bjorn. But I'm wondering if Bjorn was maybe just losing some time trying to let other drivers by.
It's both the gift and the curse of being in the midfield when the faster guys come around is, you know your man up front might be held up, but you're also going to have to give it up to let them pass.
Ooh. I'm pleading innocence here as I switch to Jevan Tarika. He spins out of left field there, has to turn the car around again. I think he didn't lose any positions for that though, so still lucky there's a bit of a gap behind him. Just hopping to Flip van Sale. He had that moment earlier and lost out in the position to Gregory Hofart. Greg managing to eke a 4-second advantage to Flip now. But I'm also looking at the pair, the Bartle-Thompson pair behind him, quickly closing the gap. And I'm starting to think we might see some action with these two arriving in the back of Flip. It's gonna be interesting to see if Roxanne can take the battle, like be running in the sandwich there. It's oftentimes tough when you are defending and you then have to deal with a car that you want to try and compete with.
Indeed, and I kept an eye on board with Byron for a little bit, and I think they were unintentional, but earning some drift points in some of the corners. So he's also struggling to keep the back at the moment of Roxanne. So the tires obviously now really showing on how much they've been used up. But that, I think, will be his challenge, is to try and hang on to the back and see if the traffic can make a bit of a difference.
I see the gap behind Roxanne growing to 1.5 seconds, and she is now closing the gap down to 0.5 second. I say that she runs very, very deep. I wonder if that was that quick of a line. Flip is somehow currently 0.8 up on his delta. Now I can't but I can't remember if Flip actually managed pitted for tires. Seven minutes left on the clock. Still loads of racing to see. That's someone in the pits. Field has relaxed a little bit now. I'm just hopping to Chris Heineke. I'm curious to see if he is anywhere close to Endren Govender. So a 1.8 second gap to them. Endren is arriving in the back of Byron Thompson. So Byron under pressure. Ooh. Endren not expecting Byron to be that slow at the Vale chicane. Goes deep in avoidance and then spins it on exit, which is going to let Chris Heineke take P17, well P16 from him and say thank you very much, on to the next target. Did Heineke manage to take it? I'm not sure. Yes he did, yes he did. I just saw one of the LT racing cars parked sideways at the village chicane.
It was just about as Roxanne and Byron were going past. I think that might have been a back marker at the time.
No, that's actually Flip van Zyl. So Flip buckling under the pressure with Roxanne arriving there. Byron is back on Roxanne's tail though. Gap down to half a second again. Just hopping back to P26. Bjorn Buchner's just letting some traffic lapping him by. Endren Govender and P17 trying to close the gap to Anthony Wilson. Again, Endren, one of the top 10 qualifiers. I think he was P5 when he started. We're seeing the pattern now emerge. Like, what is the optimal strategy? And I think it's the same as it was with the M2 series last season. Run deep, take a light fuel stop, and only use one set of tires. So I'm sure a lot of teams are going to be looking at their setups, trying to tweak it and fix their issues with tire wear so that they can like try and eke out the same race pace as the field up ahead. Jaco Alberts trying to figure out. He's managed to overtake Nick Hodgson for P5. Jeremy. No, so that's not Jeremy. Right. So Nick is pretty safe for the rest of the race. It has to be a catastrophic error on his end to lose out to Jeremy now as well. But Nick seems to be struggling a little bit to keep it clean and consistent. I mean, barring the fact that he lost a ton of time taking tires. Because although it's not that much, looking at the times, if it's anything to go by, Nick is about 16 seconds behind Sean Stradon. So he managed to claw back 15 of the 27 seconds. Well, actually 12 of the 17 seconds, the 27 seconds that he would have lost.
Does put a lot of pressure on to get everything you can out of the car. So yes. Obviously the harder you're pushing, the more you are opening up into errors, even if you do have more rubber to use. But yeah, that's let's say he's left himself a lot of work in the second stint then, having to drive the car to its maximum. Nick going side by side with Jaco Alberts there. He's definitely got the tire advantage, I think, because yeah, I remember Jaco only doing a splash and dash. So Nick is desperate to try and capitalize in
like dying moments of this race. Exploring some different lines to try and get a better exit, but he has to be careful. There's a back marker that's also trying to be quick.
Say with the engines being equal, to get the most out of the tires, you're probably going to have to throw it up the inside a bit harder and
on the outside of Luffield. They're going to go side by side through Cops here. Who flinches? Does anybody flinch?
Well, Nick's got his nose ahead for the first time in that battle, but it's back even again.
Oh. Yaku not letting up, but I think he's... Ooh, a little bit of contact. I'm wondering who that is right behind them. Is that Sean Bingham? No. I'll have to see the car number in just a moment. Oh, what happened? Yaku still side by side. Switching to the helicam now. Nick managing to eke ahead there into the Vale chicane, and I think he's got it done. Some last minute squabbling. This is leaving it for the very last moment. Sean Strydom crossing the finish line, and he will be starting the very last lap of this race. 29 laps completed, so all done, all said and done. We would have seen 30 laps of racing on this track tonight. I'm just gonna quickly hop back to Endrin Governor in P16. He seems to be closing quickly on this crowd. So that's Byron Thompson, Ashley Wilson. Sorry, let me just double check. Ashley Wilson and Chris Heineke, with Roxanne right at the front of the train. And there seems to be loads of traffic. Oh no! Roxanne just turning and not realizing there was someone still on the inside there. Just hop back. She does get back going. So all things considered, Byron Thompson managed to get ahead now. Well, there was a car that was turned backwards at the exit of Luffield. Back to Sean Strydom. He is turning onto the Wellington straight now. He's run an absolutely flawless race. Charles Wilkin is 14 seconds behind him. So Sean, like, really capitalizing on a strategy tonight, and staying consistent. I think. Oh, I wonder if Charles was maybe caught up in that incident. Someone crawling over the finish line in an attempt to try and save some fuel. So Sean taking P1. Charles has got the number 74 car all over the back of him, but he manages to clinch P2, and Ryan Barrington-Smith takes P3. Sean Bingham will be able to bring it home lazily. Nick is quite far away there for P5. I'm sure Nick is probably very frustrated right now. He had to do quite the battle to get into P5, although he was running P4 quite comfortably. I think he would feel if he can run the optimal strat, he can do a bit better. Right, and then Jaco Alberts closing, taking P6. Jeremy de Villiers bringing home P7. Ardis Boyce P8, and Marcus Stein looking to be bringing it home in P10. Oh no, P9 with Arvia, who was in contention for P4, also one of the drivers that took tires. I think I remember him being in contention for like a top 5 finish at least. So he's also got a little bit of reflecting to go and do and see if there was something better that could be done from a strategy point of view. People doing donuts now, and I think the majority of the field are doing their thing. I'm gonna switch to our commentator view quickly. Ooh. Okay, I'm just trying to quickly turn some stuff off so we can have some nice music. Do you see anybody in voice chat yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Said people are welcome to come in and say hello in an interview. Gas, how did you find this race?
That's interesting. This is always a track I enjoy watching more than driving, I think. The higher speeds just make it that much more better to spectate. But quite a few battles, especially through the midfield. Through the first of the opening stint, we saw very little separation between them, and then they came together at the end, providing us with a few photo finishes indeed.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised at some of the strategy that we saw tonight. I'm actually hoping we can get some insight there, because the top two were flying. Ryan also sticking to the no tire pit stop there, and overall, like, kudos to them for running their strategies and making it work.
Absolutely. I don't think it's easy on this track with worn tires at all. So just seeing how many drift points, 1 or 2 of them might have chalked up, I'd say it was a challenge, especially come that after the pit stop, I think everybody was probably sweating a little harder than they would have in the first half an hour, but did really well to keep things going, especially those that kept their car pointed the right way.
Definitely. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed. I was really looking forward to getting some insights. Hopefully it wasn't a permission change that's making people or leaving people unable to join. Or maybe they're just this tired. That is the one thing I remember. You are absolutely knackered after a race like this. The amount of tension you put into your legs just to keep things slow and smooth when you're getting on throttle and on the brakes. Oh, it can be so tiring. But I think if we're not seeing anybody, I'm gonna start calling it a night. If I hear anybody or see anybody pop by while I'm closing out, maybe we'll quickly pull them in. Next week we are back in the GT3s. Let me quickly find where we're racing. So calendar.
Ota.
Ooh, American. American Monza turn 1 there. So I suddenly have very mixed feelings. Should I use it as my drop round? But probably not. I'm gonna try and come and enjoy it. So we're back in the GT3s. Gas, I think you said you're gonna try and stream it this time. Hopefully you've got everything sorted out.
Yes, hopefully, yeah.
And then, of course, to anybody still keen on joining, you can head over to www.simracesa.co.za. Find the sign up, find the Discord details there, and once you're on Discord and we've onboarded you, you can start having a look at how to get signed on. Still loads of racing to happen. We are only done with round 1 of 7 for the season. So the other series being the GP series that we're doing in the 2022 hybrid F1 mod by Race Sim Studio, if I remember correctly. Gas is the one to talk to there. He's the the downforce guy. Not sure where we'll be racing, but you can still come and join. Like, the sign-ups are open right up to the last race of the season. We're trying to accommodate everybody. Do note that if you sign up for SimGT, you'll likely have to join in Div2. But will be having a mid-season HLQ just to reshuffle the grid a bit, and give the faster people that joined mid-season an opportunity to come and race with everybody. Anything that I'm missing?
No, I think you've covered it. Kota next week. I'm looking forward to it.
Kota next week. Yeah. Let's hope it's a good one. Judging by the weather, it might just be a cold one. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm gonna say good night, everybody. It was great having you here, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of this Porsche Cup season is gonna hold in store for us.
Cheers all.